Now, coming to the fourth step, that of justice, we, meaning Zoroaster, who represents the essence of justice, justice in many ways is not accurately understood by humanity. Certainly, justice is not always fair in the legal system, and justice has not always been fair in the religious sense. It has not been fair in economics. In fact, there's not too much about justice that is fair because it implies a short-sighted fairness. We address justice in a more universal sense, in a more cosmic sense, just as human beings do disservice to themselves by thinking that this is their only life upon this plane of existence, and just as others do disservice to themselves by thinking only in linear time, so it is also a disservice to think of justice only as fairness, and even more, we compound that, by thinking that it is fairness only in this life expression, thus linear time again. The true definition of justice is the acknowledgment, through one's own spiritual consciousness, of the creative source as revealed in the two universal laws. Quite a different definition, wouldn't you say so? Understand those two laws, the only two laws in all of creation. Everything else is filler. Total non-judgmental love of self and all others. Total acceptance of self in every aspect and acceptance of all others. There is nothing to be added. If the soul is able to achieve those, then the soul has moved beyond Christ consciousness and into divine consciousness. One thinks that justice was served when the young rabbi reached Christ consciousness. That is not true. Justice was served for humanity when the young rabbi reached divine consciousness, which was his ascension to that creative source, and even that august soul is still working toward perfect consciousness. Justice takes in not only this life, but also all the lives that one has experienced on all levels and all planes of existence. Think for a moment of the discrepancy, apparent discrepancy, in human life and endeavors. On one hand, you may have an individual who through ruthlessness attains great power or wealth, while another, who lives a very saintly life, is starving to death because of circumstances. If that were the only life for each of those souls, when one weighs the circumstances, then one would have to, in all good conscience, say that there is no God, that it would be a cosmic joke upon humanity. That is not the case. The creative source gave, upon the creation of the soul, total justice. Part of that total justice is free will. A soul may choose whatever it feels necessary. It is co-creator, and as a co-creator, it will return to the point of origin, the creative source, and in that process it will gain not only perfect consciousness, but perfect justice. Perfect justice, as understood by the soul, is total knowledge of all that is, total knowledge of non-judgmental love, total knowledge of what is to be accepted and understood within oneself. Justice, in that sense, knows all aspects of your being, understanding why you chose the various parts you did, why you chose the one now, and beginning to see the balance and the harmony of all that you do. Total justice is seeing the relationship and the total balance and harmony of you with the rest of creation that is non-human. Total justice is the knowledge of the relationship between each soul that has chosen to be human and each soul that has chosen to be non-human. It is giving just due to all of creation, finding no fault, no matter how minute in all of creation. Now there is where humanity has a problem. It usually begins with self and is reflected outward. Each human being is very versed in his or her own faults, supposed faults, and as a result will project that knowledge of lack outward. Because justice is perfect, what is projected outward is also received. We told you earlier, concerning truth and your beliefs, that if your belief is the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, you probably think in terms of a very pleasant life full of kindness and generosity, love, joy, and happiness. But there is a fly in that ointment. The fly is one's motivation. We said, know your beliefs. You receive justice. your interpretation of justice, not perfect justice. You receive your interpretation of justice now through your beliefs, and in turn through your motivations. If your motivation is, in this lifetime, to know and understand any emotion, anger, jealousy, whatever it may be, that is what you project. So now the axiom, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, takes on new meaning. If you desire to learn anger, then that is what goes out, and that is what is received, so that there is an abundance of all that you desire to learn. We have said that your life is filled with abundance. It is not something that you have to wait for. We are quite amused at times with all of the folderol about prosperity and abundance. Do you realize how much money people spend on learning how to be prosperous? Now that can boggle the mind. And yet all the time they are saying, "Oh well, I do not have abundance in my life. I am not prosperous." Well, their thinking is faulty. Each of you has abundance in your life, and you prosper according to your own motivations. So that is why each human being must look within and understand what is the desire for this life expression. What do I truly at the core of this life wish to learn? If one feels that they have learned all there is to learn about the negative emotions, then once that is ascertained as to whatever the motivation has been, it may be changed. You make a conscious commitment to yourself to follow another path, thus bringing justice to your life. It has been justice before. If your motivation was anger, then that is what you received. If the motivation was to understand the hardships of lack, and you received it abundantly, you received justice. You asked for it, and it was given, justly. If you choose, after understanding your motivation, to alter it, to change it completely, you may do so. You have perfect free will. You are not, under any circumstances, a victim. That is an idea that humans have perpetrated upon themselves. They are a victim of circumstances or situations or other individuals. That is not true. And when you change, as we said, you again create abundance within your life, bringing to your life perfect justice for all of your acts, for all of your thoughts. Each of you here has yet to realize how powerful you are, how dynamic the energy is that each of you emit. How many of you have said to yourself, "Ah well, that entity has a great deal of power. Who gave it to that entity? The minister gave a powerful sermon. Who gave the minister that power? It was that individual's or that entity's power and your own." If you choose, after understanding your motivation, to alter it, to change it completely, you may do so. You have perfect free will. You are not, under any circumstances, a victim. That is an idea that humans have perpetrated upon themselves. They are a victim of circumstances or situations or other individuals. That is not true. And when you change, as we said, you again create abundance within your life, bringing to your life perfect justice for all of your acts, for all of your thoughts. Each of you here has yet to realize how powerful you are, how dynamic the energy is that each of you emit. How many of you have said to yourself, "Ah well, that entity has a great deal of power. Who gave it to that entity? The minister gave a powerful sermon. Who gave the minister that power? It was that individual's or that entity's power and your own." There is enough energy in this room, if converted into a nuclear weapon, to destroy this entire state. You have yet to realize that. Each of you, by being just to yourself, have enough power to alter your life now. Not next week, not next month. Are you going to wait until a certain constellation comes into your view, and your astrologer says, "Well, now is the day to do it. Don't make a move until that occurs"? What is that doing? It is placing you in the position of victim again. Yes, of course, timing does enter into it perhaps, but the timing is not when that celestial body passes over. It is when you decide to claim your birthright true justice. Your birthright, we have said, is abundance in all things. You have claimed that. Think of your own life. Think of every situation and every person in your life, and you will find that there is a common thread, and you have abundance. If your life is not what you desire consciously, then it is because you have allowed yourself to be unaware, unconscious most of the time, thus not using your power, or worse, perhaps giving it away and allowing situations and others to contribute to a distortion of the idea of abundance. Nevertheless, there is no blame. You simply created. That is your right of birth as well. You have the right, as children of the creative source, to create. You do it all of the time. You're doing it while we speak. You're creating thoughts while we speak, and those thoughts are your power, your energy made manifest. That is justice to you. You are utilizing your birthright. Your thoughts, as well as your actions, have dimension. Every thought that ever was by any soul, and souls yet to be, in the sense of linear time, within this place of existence, exists. No thought, no action, is lost. Now if you carry that further, you can begin to see another aspect of the limitlessness of creation, simply thinking in linear time since recorded history. In this life expression, all of the billions of people who have lived, and all of their thoughts still exist, and there is still room. There is no lack in creation, none. And that also is an example of justice. All of those thoughts. It should begin in your own mind, pushing the boundaries of your world further, testing the limits of your imagination. And when you have tested the limits of your imagination, go another step further, justice. If we were to poll each of you in here and ask the question, what do you perceive as justice in your life? Most of you, at least prior to this, would have utilized the word fair or fairness in some manner. But if one isolates one life expression, one would have to honestly say that the life was not necessarily fair, but it has been just when one understands the continuity of the soul and the limitlessness of it, and the desire of the soul to know all that is. Pure knowledge in and of itself has no limit. Therefore, the soul can never know everything. It will always continue to grow in its knowledge and its awareness. That is perfect justice. Begin to explore your life and see how you have created justice in your life. If it is short-sighted or narrow in its concept, then augment it, expand it. Begin to realize how important you are. When you begin to realize how important you are, you begin to see justice. You begin to understand perfect justice in your life. Think for yourself. Do you really believe you are important in the whole cosmic scheme? You bet your bottom dollar. You are important. Now the question is, are you going to act important? Are you going to sit here and preen like a peacock and say, yes, I'm important, and then walk out the door and get into your vehicles and begin to shrink because you're dealing with the real world? Is that justice? We think not. If you are important here and now as we speak with you, you beautiful human beings, you beautiful souls, you are as important anywhere else in all of creation. Why, pray tell? Why do you think you have a body? Why is there an earth? Why are there stars and constellations, different levels of consciousness, many billions of forms of life? Why? They exist only because you exist as a soul. That is justice. Everything is for you. Everything is given to you freely, without demand, without any type of strings. It is given in pure love from love itself. Ask yourself each day, do I feel important? Do I feel as if I count? Justice is yes, a resounding yes, you do count. Without you, without the soul, there would not be creation in this form. That's how important you are. No soul dies. There is no ending for the soul, just as in truth there was no beginning, because the soul was, is, and always will be within the creative source. That is importance. That is justice, spiritual consciousness of oneself and the creative source, based and lived upon the two universal laws, perfect justice. When and how are you to use this justice, this power? Will you say, well, I will wait until I feel a little better about myself, about my situation, about what I want to do with my life? Postpone? For what reason? Give us one good reason why you would postpone receiving the greatest gift there is. I can think of no reason, none whatsoever. Think beyond include, and think beyond this particular life expression. Do not allow yourself to be narrowed, thinking, well, I don't have enough money, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not good-looking enough, I'm not, and the list is endless. That is not true. Each of you wears a particular shell, and that is exactly what it is. It is a shell. It truly is dust. If the creative source can do that out of dust, create that body that you inhabit, think how wonderful the soul itself must be, then begin to see justice. You begin to understand that the shell is transitory, and while it is here, while you are inhabiting that shell, you do your utmost to keep it in good repair and to provide it with all of the necessities in abundance, and at the same time acquire awareness, abundantly, awareness of all that is. Begin to establish justice for yourself in your life. Doesn't it seem ironic that a disembodied, I love that phrase, a disembodied entity has to inform you that you need to be just to yourself? I find a certain irony in that. Not fair, because that is limited. What is fairness? What is fair today will not be fair tomorrow, so fair is a very small word. Justice. It knows no bounds. Perhaps it will help if you understand, seeing all of the aspects that you are, and realizing that you now, at this moment, are on the threshold of bringing together into total awareness your subconscious, conscious, and your superconscious mind. When this is achieved, and it is not too far distant, for any of you, there exists within you, to your knowledge, Christ consciousness. Each of you in this room, and within the hearing of my voice, have already achieved Christ consciousness. I hope you're not too surprised, because if you understand simultaneous time, that must be. Each of you has achieved divine consciousness, and also perfect consciousness. It is simply that you are yet to be aware, consciously awake, and to know and acknowledge all that you are. Total justice. Now, if one looks at this closely, one sees that there is an obvious question, that if my life is not of my conscious choosing at present, it falls that I am being unjust to myself. Therefore, I must search out within my own heart, my own mind, my own being, the motivation and the attitude that I now possess, and augment that understanding to include true justice for myself. You see how important this period of time is. We mentioned that it is a time signifying balanced masculine and feminine energy. It is a time signifying harmony, positive and negative. It is a time to understand justice. And of course, we represent the essence of all three of those ideals: balance, harmony, justice. Well, if that justice, dear friends, if that is what this is about, if there are only 6 days left to this month to at least realize how you have distorted consciously justice in your life, then there are also 6 days to begin to understand and make a commitment to yourself to be just, so that you may accept, without limitation, the type of prosperity and abundance you most desire. You not only can but will achieve it, and it need not be achieved some 20 life expressions beyond. It may be achieved now. You have the right. Too often, human beings attribute great power to the creative source, which is positive, and yet at the same time feel a total worthlessness, which is negative. Well, that's a certain energy. It's a combination of the energies one has put into motion. It is a thought-made action. It does contribute to your awareness, but it is very narrow. You can learn all you need to know about that in perhaps 30 minutes. And yet thousands upon thousands of human beings dedicate many lifetimes to it. Begin to provide justice to yourself by seeing your own self-worth and live accordingly. How many of you, and you can answer this for yourself, live a truly just life by recognizing and living as the heir to all of creation? No one stood up, you see, and it is not impossible. Now, part of the thought from some of you is, well, that's all right for that old man, but what does he know? He's a disembodied entity. He doesn't have to pay the bills. What does he know? Well, this disembodied entity knows more than you do about that, because you are allowing yourself to see only one segment of life. It is very much like having blinders on, or being a cyclops. You see a very narrow vision of life. There is no reason, you can give me no reason, why you should not or cannot live abundantly as heirs of the creative source and have all that you desire. It is only the human consciousness, in its present form, that limitless nothing else. You have the power not only to change your life if you choose to alter it to one degree or another, but also to individually alter anything in this world that you understand as being. Jointly, you can change not only this world, but also all that you perceive as creation. That's a tremendous amount of power, limitless power. The basis for that change, the absolute core of the ability of that power to make change, is love, the fifth step. In that process, you exemplify all that is justice and respect, beliefs and honesty. You should not leave this evening feeling lack. Search your own life, your thoughts and your heart between now and the next time we meet, and see where you feel or acknowledge the lack in your life, and then peel it back. Ask why. What is the motivation? What is my attitude? And when you arrive at that conclusion, then do yourself a big favor and have a very long and hearty belly laugh, because you have perpetrated a tremendous joke upon yourself. You have contrived to put one over on yourself, and when you laugh, and you laugh hearty and long, you rise above all of the lack and whatever motivated that lack, and you begin your ascension to true justice for yourself now. And everything that you see, you will see more clearly, more vividly. Life will be fuller, and everything you hear, you will hear more clearly, more melodically, and life will be fuller, because each of you will be recognizing your birthright justice and love. From that well of wealth and prosperity and abundance, you can aid one another to see clearly who they are, and you double your limitless power together, making a statement for your own beliefs, being an example, allowing others the opportunity to know true justice. It is another step toward that blending of all levels of consciousness, so that you may act in a deliberate manner, consciously in your desire to achieve all knowledge and all awareness. You have given yourselves wondrous gifts, yet you have not opened the packages, because each of you has seen them, in a sense, on one level, and are saying, "My, they are so beautiful. I hate to disturb the wrappings." But think of the excitement and the wonder yet to be uncovered within each of you. Think of yourselves. Can you now feel the wonder, the excitement, and the joy in opening a limitless amount of unexpected gifts? I dare say you'll be beside yourself. So truly, let there be a lilt to your step and a sparkle to your voice, and live that which you truly are, perfect justice, and give that to yourself at all times, under all circumstances. Do not allow yourself to cast your eyes down as if you are unimportant. Look all around and above, and know that all is yours. You do, honestly, truly, you do possess all of creation. You are the owners of creation, and you can only give away that which you own, that which is a part of you. So, when next we meet, we will put the crowning jewel on this, which is love, the most exquisite jewel in all of creation itself, and yet so terribly misunderstood. Such irony. I love it. Well, dear hearts, enjoy this evening, the lunar eclipse. Don't be impulsive, but do be exuberant. Do not fear, ever, the full moon. Understand what it means, that it is a waxing of power. It is a signification for all of humanity of a peak of energy. So do not be afraid of the dark. Do not be afraid of signs in the heavens. If you created it, how can you be afraid of it? You're not microscopic protoplasm. There's nothing for you to fear. Do you fear for your fingernail, that it may suddenly have a mind of its own and scratch your eye out? That's ridiculous, of course. So don't fear the heavens. Don't fear anything. Be aware. And, if you are aware, then there is no room for fear. Understand fear, yes. Have knowledge of it, yes. But do not make it a permanent part of your life. True justice. So until such time as we will meet again, may the love and light of the creative source be forever on your lips and in your mind and in your heart. And may each of you hear the song of joy that is shouted within your own hearts, that the creative source lives, and you are that life, and you are that love, and each of you are all that is. Our blessings to you and all whom you love and cherish.